Hey, everybody. Let me get this off of the thing. There we go. I had another window open, and so it was a little, I was getting way too much feedback there. How is everybody this morning? Let me put my earrings on. I took my walk. I had my coffee. I've been puttering around. So sorry I'm a little late, but that's the huge. I was looking for some kind of lips to put on here. Let's see if I've got it. I've got this. I'll do this. How does that sound? Sounds good to me. All right, my friends, how are you today? Happy Saturday. It's also Skincare Saturday, so makeup free today. All part of Skincare Saturday. I hope everybody is doing well on this Saturday. My table is a mess, but I think we're going to have fun. I've got some things planned that I want to share with you. There we go. See, a little red lipstick fixes everything, right? Perfect. That's done. Let me blot, right? There we go. All right. I'm good to go. With a tube of good red lipstick, you can face just about anything. Gosh, so many of you are here already this morning. Thank you so, so much. If you saw this morning, if you read your newsletters, you saw that I dropped a whole bunch of cabochons that I'm going to show you. Right, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to work with them today. I've been, I don't know, I've kind of had some ideas in my head, so I don't know, we'll see how it goes, right? It's great to see you. Look, everyone's here. Deb's here. Diane's here. JP, of course, is here on the other side of the camera. I love it. And welcome, Marlene. Welcome. Yeah, sometimes I'm kind of late because I kind of have time blindness sometimes. So, what are we going to do? Yes, Janice is working on the 5-stitch handout for the end of the month. Chris went out this morning and got lamb for Easter. We're making lamb, bringing some over to my parents. We're also having Easter breakfast tomorrow morning with them, the whole family. So that'll be fun. So it's a good, sunny, I'm going to open the door so I get a little more light too. Let me do that. Okay. There we go. Look at that. It's a nice, super sunny. Gives me a little bit of air in here too, a little bit of natural light, which I like. Okay. So let me show you, we could chat. I just like seeing all of everybody's comments that is going on, right? Love. Okay, so let me scroll down, see anything else. Oh, and my mama, is my dear mama here? I think she is. She's not here with me today. Yeah, there she is. She's over there, 5 minutes away, but not here in studio today. All right, but she was in here in studio yesterday helping me count all these cabochons. My glasses, it's either my eyes or these glasses, and I'm hoping it's the glasses. Let me clean these one more time. Hang on. That's what I'm hoping anyway, right? Let's see. Is this better? Oh yeah. That's better. Okay. Phew, it was the glasses. Let me show you. I'm looking down. Okay, so let me add my camera. You're going to see, look it's a mess right here. Let me give you a dose of realness, how really super messy everything is here, right? But that's okay. Sometimes things don't have to be perfect, right? They don't. So And sometimes if life is messy or things, it's okay, right? So I'm going to proudly say that my desk is super messy and it's good. Oh, it's great to see. I love all this chit chat. Oh, Robin, I'm glad you're here. I'm sorry that you're having a bad day, but we're going to turn that bad day into some distraction for you. Okay. I'm going to put up I just did a screenshot of all of the cabochons. So let me tell you a little bit about the cabochons that I'm going to show you. If you got your newsletter, you saw them on the newsletter. This is from yesterday's show, right? I haven't even cleaned up from yesterday. I haven't finished anything, nothing. So, but what are you going to do, right? I mean, I wear so many hats here, but yesterday it was not the finishing of the earring hat, but I'll get to it. Let me put all of this aside. I'm super excited about those earrings. I'm going to actually, let me put this over here because the last thing I want is for this to go all over the floor. Let me do that. I'm going to grab one of these pendants. I'm going to put that over there. Thankfully, my desk is still clean. That's a good thing. So I've been holding on to all of these cabochons for a while. As you know, or may not know, I taught metalsmithing. I still teach metalsmithing, right? I still do a lot of metalsmithing work. But I've done a lot of metalsmithing, and I had a bunch of cabochons that I would use for my classes for setting, like we'd make rings or set pendants, do all that kind of stuff. And they've really, since I don't travel and teach as much, well, at all, really, anymore, since the big shows and things have kind of gone by the wayside, I had a huge cabochon stash, right? So what I did was I had Chris sort it. I still have some more, a few more that I'll put out, but this was a bunch of them. And I thought it would be perfect for bead embroidery, right? So, pardon me. So if you go over to the website, and let me put this screenshot up, you can see this is just some of the ones that I've put out. They're all in Bead Shop Studio. There's a link. There's a Bead Shop Studio link on the homepage. There's a link to the cabochons. It says they launched at 7 a.m. Pacific this morning. There's a link in your newsletter, so you'll find them. And you folks are loving them. So there are limited amounts, right? So when these are gone, they're gone. The way I used to buy these was when we'd go to Tucson, there was a particular vendor that I'd go for. Look at this silver leaf jasper one. Isn't that pretty? They're so nice. I love them so much. There was a particular vendor there that I used to buy my cabochons from. So he would come over from China and he had them all on cards, like a big booth of just all the cards. I actually didn't see him there. I wasn't there last year, but I didn't see him there the year before. And now, kind of with the situation with like tariffs and who knows what, right? We just heard from one of our pearl vendors. He's like, yeah, I'm not sure about my pearls or importing or whatever. It's all kind of crazy, but that's for another day for us to think about. But these, so I don't know when I'm going to be able to find these again. As I say, I used to get them by the card, and my students would choose the different cabochons they wanted to use for their projects. It was super fun. And my mom, she came over, counted, measured them, and bagged them all yesterday. So I really owe her a big debt of gratitude. But there's some really fun ones. There's like these moss agate ones here, but they're all listed on the website in Bead Shop Studio. I had these Shiva shells And I love these shells. These are like the shell on the back, and then, or this is actually the domed side. And then the shell, this has a little bit of tape residue. Some of them have a little bit of tape on them because they were taped down to cards. If they do, you just need to wipe it off. I couldn't sit here and take off every little tape bit, but you could mount these this way. You can see the shell. Yeah, let me get kind of closer. Sorry about that. You don't need to see me. There they are. And let me zoom in here. Let me do that. Sorry, so the Shiva shell, I had looked it up. The Shiva shell is S-H-I-V-A. S-H-I-V-A shell. I had it bookmarked, but I don't know. Comes from a snail, a sea snail. And it has, so it's the interior, exterior here of that. They're really beautiful. They've used these for forever. These come, I think, probably from Thailand. And these are all usually after, like the snail, after the snail passes on to its great reward. This is like the little door of the shell. And so these are like found on the beach and stuff like that. They're pretty cool. I really like them. So yeah, I love them so much. And so this is the interior, that kind of spiral, and then the exterior of these. These are really pretty to set or just to have. I love them. You also see these cut as beads and stuff like that. So so they're gorgeous. They really are. And these are kind of a something that's gathered post the life of the snail and sold this way. So yeah, they're just gorgeous. I love them, love them, love them. So I have a few of these. When these are gone, they'll definitely be gone. They're in some different sizes. I will choose for you. You can put in the notes. We'll try and, like, on photos that have a bunch of different colored, like some of the jasper, like this picture jasper has different colors and stuff on it. So you can always name the color that you like, and we'll try and grab one for you. If not, I promise you they're all gorgeous, and I will choose a nice one for you. The spray shaded jasper, a few rhodochrosite. This was a really popular one for people to choose in class. It was really fun. So anyway, so I've got a bunch of those. Those are all here. They're up on the web, right? My mom is saying the photos don't do them justice. Yeah, all the stones are really beautiful. I mean, I do my best, but they are gorgeous. So, and you folks are liking them, which is great. So I'm glad that I finally gotten them up for you. And they're going out into the world. Hopefully I will, I'll try and find some more of them, maybe Tucson next year, or, if I can contact some of my vendors, if you folks like them. But again, everything is going up, right? And getting harder to find. So, but it's a good thing we have such great industry contacts for sure. Okay, let me show you what I've got here. I've got this piece. I brought a hairpin out to sew on the back of this. Hang on, you look at this. Let me see if I can find where I put it. It was a hair clip. Looks like a hair clip. I don't know. Maybe I'll run across it. Oh, there it is. I put it in the tray that I moved. So I think this butterfly thing that I've got here, I think I am going to make it into a hair clip. And I'm just repurposing something that I have. You probably have something that you can repurpose. But I think this would be kind of fun to do that. And then I want to show you how I'm going to use these cabochons. So we'll kind of tuck in and just do some creating here. This one you've seen, I was using some felt for it, right? Let me see if the needle is still attached to this. Let me see. Is it? No, I probably took it off. This is from the template that I drew for you folks. You can find it on the website, the butterfly template. And we've been stitching on this for a while. I want a sharps needle. Oh, there they are. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, as I said this morning, but that's okay. Sometimes you're just all over the place, and sometimes you're not. So, you know, what are you going to do? Oh, thanks, JP, for putting that link up to the Cabochon. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, they were fun. They were fun to do. I do have some vintage glass ones that I might put up from my stash. Those are always fun to work with. So, like we talked about, I filled all of this in with the Gatsby 2 mix, and I've outlined it here with the black. I have a whole bunch of the beads and stuff from the Great Bead Extravaganza, Bead Embroidery, that I was doing. So I think maybe, I don't know, we might use some of this stuff still. We've also got these bangles back in, right? So you can find those. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, I know. Tara, I agree. I think that is exactly right. You know, you get super excited about creating and you get kind of like antsy about it, right? You're like, oh, I'm going to be doing this. And then, yeah, I get a little like forgetful, or not forgetful, but, you know, antsy or whatever. Look at all of this mix. I love having like all of my stuff in one big pile. This, I'm sure, makes some of you like super crazy. But what I'm going to do here is I like picking through a mix for my freeform beading. Let me get rid of these channel beads. Let me move those over there. I'm going to move that there. This one I have to finish. That was from the Bead Extravaganza. Let me move that over there. Let me move these little bezels and stuff. We just got some more of those in. They've been restocked. So that's so they're in. So if you needed to pick up a few more bezels or whatever, they are there. So here's my big bunch of stuff, right, from my bead embroidery. I get these little like to-go containers because I think they're kind of handy to have. I am going to get my little triangle right here. Let me get that. My little triangle. And I'm going to just mix these suckers up. This is exactly how I made the Gatsby mix. I kept putting things in my big mixing bin. I kept adding like an alchemist, right? Or a pharmacist, or a, you know, whatever, kind of making a potion. So I kind of like the way that this kind of comes out, right? The never-ending bead mix. So I'm going to put all of that in there. There we go. Now it's a little more contained. I like the looks of that, right? Here is the other one. Oh, the channel bead. Let me grab it. The channel bead, I think, is sitting over here. I'm already distracted enough, but you know, whatever. Let me see if I can find it. The channel bead, I need to put it I was putting it on chain, which is kind of fun to wear it on a piece of chain. But it is so delicious. There it is, right there. Right? I love it so much. I'm feeling like I want to do them, like I want to throw some more things in my mix, but I'm going to refrain. Oh, I do need, let me get my butterfly here. I was thinking about outlining it in another row of black, I think. But maybe I'll do blue, right? I've got the blue sitting right there. Let me see. I feel like it needs just a little more something here, right? So let's just see. There's the blue. This is that dyed slate I was using in the piece yesterday in those earrings. Let me zoom in a little tighter. Okay. So let's get, I want to get that out of the shot. There we go. That looks good. Okay. Here are my needles. Now, I think what I'm going to do for this, Emily, when she was doing her bead embroidery, she was showing us how to do some couching as well, which might be the thing for this. I don't know. Let's just see, because I want to kind of have a, something around it. Another edge. What I also want to do is I want to back this, right? Because I don't want to see this stitching. So this is what I'm going to do. I am going to get my scissors and I'm going to cut some of this extra away. And let me see if this is enough for backing. And I think it is. Yeah, it is. Good. Okay, right there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut around this here because I want to put this shape down on that shape and I want everything to kind of be finished around it, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to bring this needle to the front so I don't, this thread, so I don't accidentally cut it off on the back. This one, did I tie this off? I did not. So let me see if I can bring it underneath here. I'm going to put a needle on it. I'm not going to even try and tie that knot without a needle. And I'm going to come in, I'm going to stitch this little end right on there so nothing comes apart. Okay. There we go. Now, let's go ahead and clip. I'm going to kind of rough cut. Let me cut this. All right. So now I want to come in and I'm going to kind of cut around this, leaving a little bit of an edge. There we go. I've got enough here on that edge, right, to kind of stitch up to it, right? Let me see if I can make that kind of even. Kind of go slow. I'll come up here and come up here. Almost. Let's see. Janice is saying, oh, that's a good question about picking the backing. So we've talked about this before, but I'll talk about it a little bit more. This is just felt that I'm using. It's like crafting felt, and it is stiffened. Okay, like, can you see there? It's about 2 millimeters in thickness. It's kind of stiff. So I've just stitched directly on that felt. Now, there are a lot of different backings that you can use. Emily used the Ultra Suede and backed it with paper, which is a super traditional, old school way of beading a cabochon, right? You can get felt. I even thought about using like some heavier interfacing. We've talked about interfacings before. The bangle that I've done, if you go back to the Gatsby bangle that I did, it was sitting here a second ago, but the strip that I beaded onto Ultra Suede that was backed on a piece of interfacing. So anything, I think different stitchers have different favorites, right? But I'm kind of liking this felt here. And I'm using my Xuron snips because it's really letting me kind of detail my cutting. So see what I've got there? It's kind of a good outline there. Okay. You could use some tiny little scissors, some little embroidery scissors, which I also have, but I used these Xurons the other day to cut around some fabric, and I kind of like it, especially since this is kind of heavy. You know how you use shears to cut metal, kind of short and sharp, so these are kind of working out for me too. And I have a lot of control with my hands with them. So let's do this. And I think, I don't know, I think I might still outline it in black. I don't know. 2 colors might be visually jarring. So I need to find my black seed beads, but I'll find those in a second. Let me finish this up. Okay, so let me come down here. I think what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to kind of outline them because I think I might need a couple of rows of beads, but I'll fill it up with beads. There. I'm going to make it a little offset. The antennae aren't symmetrical, so I'm not going to worry about cutting it symmetrically. In our Amazon storefront that we have for Bead Shop, I have this felt listed. It's a heavier, I think it's 2 millimeter, and it's stiffened. There we go. There's that little antenna, right? No, I'm not wearing the bangle. I don't know what happened to it. It was sitting here a second ago. I don't know. Who knows? I've got the plain ones. It literally was right here. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'll put my eye on it in a second, I'm sure. Yeah, sorry I'm a little scattered this morning. You know how it is. I mean, I thought I was on point, but I guess I've got one too many things in my brain. But that's okay. There we go. This is always calming and restorative, right? Which is good. I hope everybody's having a good Saturday, getting some stuff ready for spring holidays, and I know there's a lot going on today, so kind of a fun day. April, I think, might be my favorite month. I love spring. Everything is blooming. Chris is really doing some wonderful things with his garden, doing a lot of gardening, which is great. I'm going to turn this over. I think I can access it a little better from this side. It hasn't gotten super hot yet here in Fresno, but the heat is coming for sure. Do this. There we go. That's looking good. Clip a little bit there. Just little minute clips, because you can always take a little bit away, but you can't add it back in, right? Okay, let me put that down. Then you can screenshot that. I think it looks even better cut out, right? Let me get a little tighter in here for you. Thanks, JP, for putting up the Amazon affiliate store. Appreciate. There you go. That's looking good. Okay, let me stand up. Let me find the black seed beads. Okay, I think they're over here on a project tray. Let's see, those are delicas. I want something round. Here they are. It's a good thing about using kind of a limited color palette that I have all of my beads here. That's really bizarre. It's like that bangle got up and walked away. It was literally sitting right here. Isn't that weird how you can't see? You've got object blindness, right? Oh, see? Here it is. Bam. There it is. It's right there. I'll put it on. Okay. There we go. All right. So now what I'm going to do here is I think I'm going to outline this. I don't know. Can you tell I'm making this up as I'm going along? Let me pardon my reach here. I'm going to get a skinny pen and I'm going to outline. Is this going to draw on that? It's drawing okay. The pen might be a little too scratchy. Let me get one that's not quite as thin. And let me just come in. This is just a regular, like, gel ballpoint pen, right? You could use anything. This is all going to be covered up. But I'm just going to outline her. Right there. And go over here. Outline here. And go here. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Look, there's the outline. That's not bad. Okay. So let me cut this out. And then what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this together, I think. Though I might want to finish, I probably should have beaded this before I cut it out, but it's done. So I think I'm going to glue it next. So let me get my scissors. It's a lot easier to cut out when it's not beaded, right? One of the secrets to things when I'm cutting things out like this, I move the work, right? I kind of keep my fingers still, or my scissors still, and I keep moving the work, right? That helps me. And I also kind of have my scissors at maybe like a 10-degree angle or 20-degree angle, something like that, so that I can kind of see where I'm cutting, if that makes sense. Hopefully I'm following the lines okay. We'll see what happens. And I'm using the back part of the scissors kind of like I would cut metal, right? I'm not cutting with the tip, but I'm cutting like way back here in the body of the scissor so that I have a little more control. It's a little more stable, I think, down there, and taking just short little cuts like that. Okay. So now, yeah, that looks good. That's a little off, but you know, I'm not going to trim anything quite yet. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to glue this now. Okay. So let me get my E6000 and from my glue bin. Let me see what I've got. I could also use some fabric glue, but I think the E6000 is what I want to use, honestly. It's sturdy, it dries flexible, all of those things. And the way I'm going to glue this is, like, the whole piece doesn't have to be glued, right? The main portion, I'm going to put some glue in the center, and I really want to make sure that this outer rim is glued. So I'm not going to smear a whole bunch of glue on the back of this, okay? So I'm going to start on this side, and let me put a plastic down so I don't harm my beading surface. Okay. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my little toothpick and I'm going to come in. I want to be really mindful about where I'm moving that glue towards the edge. Okay, like this. And we're not gonna worry. We're just gonna come in, lay that glue down, kind of keep it towards the edge. You do have some working time with this E6000. This will also glue all of my threads down. I think these little glue sticks or whatever, I think those are somewhere in our Amazon store too. I've done different lists in our Amazon store, kind of according to different broadcasts and stuff that I've done. So you can just kind of like walk the aisles of our Amazon store to see some of the helpful things I've listed in there. Just click on the photos and you can kind of see the different things that I've added. Every little bit helps. It is an affiliate link, so we really appreciate you. supporting us that way. All right, a little bit more. Let's see. So the glue, it's a good question. The glue will not make it harder to bead through, to be honest. Ooh, that's a little bit too much. So let me take a little bit away. The thing about E6000 is it dries really well and it dries really flexible. So I'll be able to bead through this with no problem. I am going to set it aside though and let it kind of cure. We're going to move on to the cabochon, but I wanted to forward this a little bit. I want to get all of the antenna, making sure I go all the way to the ends. And now let's get that section over there. Thin layer. We carry these small little tubes of E6000, which I like because I feel like when I have a giant tube of E6000, it dries up about halfway through the use and I end up chucking like half the tube in the trash. So these little tubes I think are nice because there's not any waste. So here we go. I'm going all the way to the edges. All the way to the edges there. Not worrying about that center. Let me put the lid back on. Let me get the back of my piece. Line it up. Turn it over. And push it down. Now, I'll come in with my little tiny scissors later and give this one more trim. I can also see I need a little bit more glue there. So let's just detail that glue out. But some of that's going to be trimmed away, so. Just a little bit more. There we go. Let's check that. That looks good. Maybe just a touch. Though I am, when I stitch this, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do an edging stitch, and I might do an edging stitch like over the side, right? Like that. And the glue, it remains workable for a while. I would say at least, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so, right? As long as it's still tacky and kind of holds down, I think you're good to go. Because this, see, I can still like kind of peel it back. See that there? So, but it's really bonding. I'm going to come in, I'm just going to pinch all around the edge, and then I'll come in and I'll detail it later. Okay, I'm going to clip away some of this overhang with my super tiny little scissors. I'll neaten this up, and then the stitch that I might do, I don't know, I need to think about it. Something like this, you know, sometimes I have to let it simmer. And I did use the felt for the backing as well. And I think what I'm going to do is I've got my tags, my clothing tags, or that I put them in my bags and my wallets. I think I might glue one on the back too of that. And then I found this hairpin that I'm just going to stitch, I think. It's like a big bobby pin kind of a thing, like a hair slide thing. I think that'll work. I might need to get a pro polish pad or something on here. It's a little old, but that's okay to repurpose, I think. But yeah, an overcast with the beads. Exactly. You're picking up what I'm putting down, Ramona. I think that would look good, and it would kind of cover this edge too. So I think that would look good. And I think, I don't know, depending on how you want to slide this into your hair. But I think that would look good. So I think I'm at a good stopping point for this one for now. I could also put a pin back on it. It would look beautiful as a pin back too, as a pin. So I don't know. Maybe I won't do a hair slide. Maybe I'll put a pin. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, yeah, Cindy, I agree. Sometimes it just, you gotta sometimes let things simmer. And again, I have to come in and clip this a little bit more, but I think it's looking pretty good. I kind of love it with this mix and stuff. It's kind of a fun thing to create. You could also put something like this on a cuff, right? We've got the brass cuffs. I could cover this brass cuff like Emily did with the ultra suede, and then I could glue or stitch that in place. That would really be kind of a gorgeous, really statement piece of jewelry, right? So sometimes, again, you just have to let things simmer. But let's talk about something else, starting something else that's kind of epic. So let me get one of my, I got one of these blue lace. I got a couple of these blue lace cabochons that had a little bit of a flaw that I didn't want to sell. There's a little bit of a flaw there on the edge, so I'm keeping those for me. I'm going to, let me zoom in a little bit and let me just start thinking about this blue lace. So we've got these bezels, and I use these bezels in the Great Bead Extravaganza. I stitched onto some ultra suede, right? And that's this piece here. It's on the Bead Embroidery page. It's on a project page on Bead Shop, but all of this has been stitched. You can also, I filled some with diamond glaze and put the like a mix of beads and sequins and stuff in them. I really love this freeform embroidery. I feel, like I did with the bangle, it just feels like super encrusted. I don't know if you remember in the 80s when Elton John used to wear kind of those pillbox hats, kind of, that were really had a lot of freeform jewelry, freeform embroidery kind of encrusted on them. Those were made by a gentleman named Kenneth King. And you may know that name if you sew at all or do like couture sewing and stuff. If you do any of that, he's still working today. My friend Mary actually knows him pretty well. He did a lot of those vests for Elton John and a lot of those hats. So this kind of free form, kind of super encrusted embroidery kind of comes from that era. That's what it reminds me of. And I've always just really loved that kind of free form kind of feeling to it, right? So I'm just thinking in my head, right? I'm just thinking about this cabochon, setting the cabochon, setting it in a bezel like this. I could freeform it, but I'm just going to see what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to cut this circle out quite yet. I'm just going to, it's just another piece of stiff felt. And I'm going to glue down this cab right onto the felt. Okay. Again, with the E6000. This is how we used to do it back in the day. Okay. So I don't really even need to quite find the middle. I'm just going to eyeball it. I could also set it long ways, which is kind of cool, but I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to add my E6000 to the back of that cab, spread it out just a bit, and slide it to the center. That looks like it's close to the center, right? And press it down. So now, see, in the E6000, I mean, it's holding it. So let's get, I don't know, we still have some of these mixes left. This one, I can't remember the names of them, but they're all under available mixes. This is a nice one. Twilight something. Let me look so I'm not. Bear with me here just a second. And I'll tell you what's still available. Oh, the Cabochons are going. Some have been sold out already. So if you love them, don't let them languish in your cart. Let's see. These mixes, I will tell you, this one that I'm holding in my hand is, I'm on the wrong page. Hang on. Sorry about this. Here they are. This one is Twilight Bloom. We still have some of this. The brown one is Ash and Amber. And then this other one, this one is Firebird. And we don't have many left, but we do. I made a bunch of these, so we do have some of these left for you. I think I'm going to use, I'm really into this one, and plus it's already kind of dumped out here. So, here's some of that mix. I'm going to dump out a little bit of this to kind of see what I want to use. Let me, you know, this needle is already threaded, so I'm going to clip it away from my other piece and use that. Okay. So here's the cab. And I'm going to go ahead and just loop this through twice. And I'm going to needle up here next to the cabochon, wherever you want to go with it. I'm going to needle down just to lock in that stitch and needle up. Now, all of this is going to be sitting in that bezel, so I don't really need to worry so much about what's happening on the back end here. Okay, so in this mix, also in some of my Gatsby mix, which is right here, the Gatsby 2, which we still have just a few remaining. I'm going to pick out, I think I'm going to pick out from the Gatsby 2 this light 8/0. 4 of them right there. Okay. Like this. I'm going to bring it around and needle down right next to the cabochon. Okay. And I like this felt being a color, honestly. You could use white, you could use anything, but this blue, I think, adds quite a bit to it. Now see how I'm coming up through? So there's like splitting the difference. I've got 4 on there. So I'm going 2 on like that. And I'm going to grab 2, maybe 4 more. 1. That's a small one. There it is. 2. Hopefully there's enough in this mix. 3 and 4. There's 1. That's why I like using mixes too. I feel like the mixes kind of fuel my creativity just a bit by kind of like picking through them and kind of making my choices. I'm going to come up between these two right here and back stitch through those and then go forward. Right, nice and snug. Whoops. Since this didn't, I'm pushing my cabochon. It's glued down, but it's not completely tacked. So I need to make sure I'm not. When you're doing this, glue this down, let it sit for a bit so it sets, and then do your stitching. But I'm just going to do my stitching. There's one more 8/0. Come on, there's another one. There's one. And there's one. Bam. It's also good for your brain, right? Spot the 8/0. Okay, we're getting there. Needle down. Needle up between 2 of the 4 that I put on, right next to the cabochon, and through those last 2 beads. Okay, so this is what we're getting so far. Make sure that's straight. Let me. How's my 8/0 stitch? I've got a little more of the mix, but those are all drops, drops, drops. Time to get out more mix. I think there's one more. Good thing I opened so many of these, right? I want that little light blue one. See, I just end up dumping them all out. Right? Ahaha. 1, 2. 2, 3. No. Are you still there with me? There's that. Put these 2 on. I'm going to grab one more. Hold, please. Let me put that. That's good time for a screenshot. It's a good thing I usually archive a couple of these for me. So, yeah, here it is. There it is. I don't know what it is. I think that you folks are loving these as much as I am, and I hope you're having fun with them. Don't hoard them, right? I want you to use them, and I want to see what you make with these mixes. This one, as I said, is the Gatsby 2. I would always, with these mixes, I would pick up 2. Because the way that we do these is we mix them, it's totally random. And we keep stirring it, filling the tubes or the bags. But each mix is so different. And they're just a fun, like, creativity spark, I think. And 8/0, you could use 11s, but I kind of like the way that this size of these 8/0 are looking. Now, I also have some of these drops. So I'm going to pull out some of those. And if I have to incorporate some of these drops along the top of my cabochon, I will, right? Because I might be just a few 8/0 short, but who cares, right? Who cares? We're just going to make it happen. Let me focus this. Okay, so that's one, that's one, that's one. Those drops. Okay. I need 2 more of these to make 4 to go all the way around. It's also given this cabochon a little time to tack down. Go down. And as long as we make everything symmetrical and kind of intentional looking, then it doesn't really matter, right? Here we go. I also have some of these. Let me think. I want to make this symmetrical here, so it looks like I just need 2 more of those 8/0 on that side. Those elusive 8/0. Okay. Does that look even? That looks even enough, right? So let me think about this. I've got a lot of this color. I mean, I could just walk over and get a tube, but, you know, I think it's more fun kind of creating on the fly with this. Okay, I'm going to stitch in one of these. I'm going to come up next to it. Actually, I want to come up here. Next to the, sorry, I'm out of the, sorry, I'm totally thinking. I'm not even watching the camera. Sorry about that. So I'm stitching that one in. Let me stitch one of these darker ones, one of these drops. This is the drops in that mix. Another one of those darker ones and needle down. Let's see what that looks like. Oops. Yeah, I like the look of that. Now, I've got one plain A dot. So I'm gonna needle up next to that dark one. Yeah, you could definitely peyote stitch around these, right? This could turn into peyote stitch. I don't know. There we go. There's that second one. Now we're almost in the center here. So I'm going to get another one of those darker ones. Another one of those drops. Another one of those darker ones. Whoops, I have to needle up though. So let me do that. Needle up. I almost like this bezeling a little bit better than the plain 8/0, but that's okay. This, the drop, the 8/0, needle down. Okay. Oh yeah, look. That's cool. Now over here, one plain 8/0. How's this adhering? Before I do any more stitching, I want to get just a little bit of E6000 under there while I have it. Oh, Sue's saying she finished her bangle with the Gatsby mix. I want to see it. Post it over on the bead table, would you? I would love to see that. Just add a little more E6000 underneath there. Again, when you're doing this and you're not doing this on demo camera time, you can really let that cab glue down. Okay. I love the look of this little motif right here. Go through. Go through that one. One more 8/0. One more that size. One more drop. Oops, not that 11. One of those. Let's see. You kind of have to judge the distance a little bit. But look, yeah, I think that worked out okay. And now I'm just going to come back in and stitch this down. The good thing also, one of the things that I've been doing with Emily's technique of couching, see how I'm coming up? That's sitting up just a little bit. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to lock it down with a couching stitch. It's super forgiving. And also, see, that locks that. Now I've got to come in and I've got to make that stitch, that bead stitch, sit correctly. So I'm going to come from over here. I'm going to go through, that's the first bead that I put on. And I'm going to go through. See my needle path right there? And I'm going to stitch that down. And now needle down. Because if it doesn't feel quite as secure as you want it to, see, but now everything is sitting kind of nicely. I kind of like that look of this, right? Now I think what I want to do is I'm going to replicate this with the drops. I'm going to go down here. And you can see this isn't perfectly centered, but I'm not going to really worry about it. It kind of has like a feeling of a crest or something in here. So the couching stitch, thank you, Barbara, for asking. Let me show you. I'm going to come down here to the center, okay? And I'm going to kind of repeat this little motif. And let me, where's my little drawing, my little piece of paper drawing here. Just need my little notepad. Here we go. So if I'm couching, this is the side view, okay? So I've come up, here's my fabric down here, right? I've come up, needle up, I've put my beads on, okay? My line of beads, however many beads there are, right? Then I come up, and so this is tacked down right through my fabric. Then I needle up with just plain thread. I go around my line of beads and back down. And that loop of thread, that just plain loop of thread that I've made, pulls down, right? And pulls it in place so that this doesn't waggle back and forth. And then I can come over here, couch it again with my thread, bring it around, and tighten it down. Okay, so that's just a fancy way of saying using plain thread to go over your beaded length and tacking it down. Okay, and yeah, these are Miyuki drops. Those are Miyuki drops, what I used. And this really does, it kind of has a mirror, or yeah, beaded antique picture frames, right? So I'm just letting this motif take me where it goes. This would be really cute. Also, I have some somewhere. You can get those little mirrors. Oh, now my brain is going. You can get those little mirrors that you use to embellish clothing. They have a name. I'm trying to remember. I used to set them in bezel settings. So I'd make these tiny little, like on the front would be a stone and on the back would be a mirror. I'll have to find one. I kept a few for myself. But that would be fun to bezel around those, right? And put that little mirror in there. So it's like a little teeny magic mirror kind of thing. Yes, that would be so good. Let me get some, there's some bugle beads in this mix. Oh, you know what I want? I want the twisted bugle bead from that the Great Bead Extravaganza mix that I made. This bugle, I think, is clogged. Let me see. Sometimes they clog. Let me get one here. Yeah, got glue on my fingers. So I'm going to needle down, right? So there's one of those. I want to do like those little rays coming out from this. So there's one. Now, right, we have to find joy somewhere. And right now my joy is stitching these little flippin' beads onto a little piece of felt. Right? That's where my joy is today with you folks. Right? So here I'm going to repeat that motif right there. I'm going to needle down. And I'm going to build it symmetrically from side to side. I'll put this one in. So one of these, I hope I'm still on the shot, sorry. This and this one and this one. And let's just build it symmetrically on this side. Okay. Oh, thanks, you guys. I'm glad these lives bring you joy. I mean, I don't know. Half the time I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, on these Saturday stitch-ins, I haven't planned anything out. I'm just kind of catch as catch can. So I'm glad. You know, we've got to spread as much joy as we can around this earth. You know, it's so funny. I'm going to get a little philosophical here, but you know, thinking about spring and renewal, and you know, we've got some family coming in a couple weeks. We're going to spend some fun time together. My dad's birthday's coming up and stuff, and you know, you just think about how time has passed, you know, and how things kind of, I don't know, maybe used to be different a little bit. You know, the world, I know it's cliche to always say that the world is kind of a different place, but it is kind of, right? Things are different now. And I think that things that were joyous, at least for me, they're kind of harder to find right now, right? So I think finding the joy like we used to have is a good thing. And, you know, times change, right? I mean, you think about things like, you know, the 19th century was different than the 20th century. The 21st century is going to be different from the 20th century, right? Time moves on, time marches on. But the memories of what has come before, I don't know, sometimes it makes me a little melancholy. So I have to kind of stop for a minute and use my hands to make something that brings me joy. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense to, or if I'm just going on, but I don't know. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down. Okay, let's take a look. Look at that little motif, right? I like it. Oh, I love, oh, you guys, I might actually cry a little bit here on a Saturday morning, but that's really sweet. Tina, thank you so much for these. And I guess art therapy, I guess you're right, Sharon. That is why they call it art therapy. JP, hashtag same, right? Maybe a fashion house, Dawn. So for totally, right? That's why I love those videos of like Dior and beading, right? The couture beading, right? It has been a tough month for my mom. Give her some love. She had a little bit of a fall and some things, but she's doing well. But yeah, Ma, you know, it's been tough, but you came yesterday and put all these stones in bags and stuff. So you're doing well. Let's see. Here's a question from Marlene. I hope this isn't a dumb question. No dumb questions ever, but do you go around the cab going up anymore? Sure. So I think that's a great question, Marlene. We could come in and I could peyote stitch up and around this a little bit more with some 11-aughts. And I could set all of this down and I could come in and I could peyote with just 11-aughts around here, like a tiny little bezel. I could even just peyote a little bit with 15s, right? I could do that. That would be fine. I've glued this into place, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere, especially since I added that extra bit of glue. I could also come over and stitch like over the top, but even if I peyote stitched like a little bit here, like a little cap, and a little bit here I could. So I think all of those things would work, right? So let's see. Yeah, my mom is tough. My mom is a tough, that's where I get it, right? So, but, it's been, I don't know. Things are always kind of crazy. Just when you think that everything is good, right? There's always something coming up. Let me come through here. Let's give a little stitching on that side. So I'm going to needle up. I'm going to go through this bead. And what I do when I kind of back stitch like this, it kind of, what do I want to say, stabilizes the new stitches that are coming after this. That makes sense. So let me get another one of these. What beads do I want? There are some pearls. The pearls might be a little bit big. I don't know. Maybe I want to put one of these. These are those rhinestones that I got from the Great Bead Extravaganza mixes. Come on, go in there. Maybe. Okay. Maybe these. That's a nice, and I think there's a few of those there. There we go. Let's do this. Let me just come in. And I think if you build it symmetrically, so what you do on one side, at least for what I'm trying to achieve here, kind of this crest kind of a feeling. If you build it from one side, yeah, there we go. That's looking good. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Go through that one. And I'll get one of these. And one of these, they feel big, but I think they're just 6/0. One of these. I know, maybe a couture house will hire all of us. Not that I don't have enough to do, right? So I don't know. Maybe I'll just let that one play out in my head. Okay, so there's that. Now I think this might be the right place. There's kind of a straight up and down spot here. Maybe this is the right place for another bugle bead. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Get another one of those twisty bugles. Let's put this down. Yeah, look at that fits right where it should. Yes. Look at that. It looks kind of like a Victorian crest, doesn't it? Kind of. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do it symmetrically. What happened to that side, I'm going to make happen to this side over here. And get another one of those twisty bugles. I think we're going to have to add some more of these bugles to our repertoire. So I've got a little bit of space here. It's a little off kilter, but I'm not going to really worry about it. See, there's a little bit more space over here than over here, but it doesn't really matter because, oh, you know why? It's because, no, that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to fill it in. I'm going to use a couple of beads here and we'll just fill it in. Okay, so needle up. I'm going to put in 2 of these on this side. And like you could draw a grid, right? You could make this completely 100% symmetrical, right? But I'm not so into that right now. I'm going to stitch those in, lock those in, and then I'll go to the other side. Right? So now I'll come over here to this side. What I'll do is I'll kind of push this bugle back a little bit. I actually will, to move it back down, I'm going to put my needle. Can you see here? I'm going to come up by that bugle. Whoops. I didn't stitch down. That's okay. This will give me a time to check the comments too. I know it is a little bit like mirror, mirror on the wall, right? Yeah, it's kind of like an amulet. Yeah, totally. I'm glad you folks are picking up the vibe I'm putting out there with this. See how we doing on time? Not too bad. So let me needle down. Don't forget to needle down. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to push this bugle back just a little bit. So I'm going to come up next to it right there. I'm going to go through the hole in the bugle, through, back through, down there, and that will kind of pull all this back, and it'll kind of make about the same space there that it is over here on this side. Okay. Now, see how this is kind of sticking out there too, like that? It's time to couch that into place. So, see how it's like that? So, I'm going to come up to where I want that bugle to sit. So, right there. Okay. Then I'm going to push that over like that and stitch on the other side of it. And see how that locked that right in, right into where it should go. Okay. Now, what I could do, since I outlined this and it's a little off, right? I could just come back in and I could kind of straighten this out a bit. Let me just draw where the center of that's going to be. Make myself some registration marks here. Okay. Right? Because there's no, there's no reason to worry about that too much, right? Because I can always make this kind of turn. So now I've got to get back up here. I've got to put those 2 beads over there. So where's my thread coming out of? I couched that. So let me, I'm going to needle up over here. I think I'm going to come at it from the top. Mm-mm. No. Nope. I don't want to pull those out of kilter. I'm going to needle down or needle up from down here by the bugle, stitch through, and then put those two on. That's what I'm going to do. 1 and 2, and it looks like they go about right here. Yeah. Okay. So now I guess I just keep filling in, right? Oh, I was going to do those sequins, right? So let me just get a few beads. Maybe that one. Maybe not that one because I'm not seeing a bunch of those. Maybe that and maybe this. There we go. And where did that rhinestone go? I had those rhinestones here. Here's 1. Here's 2. Here's 3. Okay. So let me get this. Needle down. I'm going to go through those 2 one more time. And I'm going to go straight into that stitch on rhinestone. And see, if you didn't see these on Great Bead, see how they have the stitch through on the back? We're going to get more of these in. I think I'm going to do these rhinestones in mixes for you. I think that's how I'm going to do it. Because I love them. These come from one of our really old school vendors. So now since I did it on that side, I'm going to go over here and do it on this side. I'm just mirroring back and forth, right? So I need those 2 blue ones. There's 1. There's 2. So that comes here. About right there. That looks about right. And I went through these twice, I think. So needle up again back here. Whoops. My needle fell off. There we go. Oh, my leg's asleep. I have to stand up. Ooh. Make sure you move around. That was a mistake not to stand. Okay. There we go. Oh. Oh. I'm just stretching. My leg was really... Oh, Sam Hilly, I'm sorry. Your shingles Vax. Yeah, that one gets you. Chris is due for his second one. I took mine a while back. But get the Vax because shingles is the worst. Ask me how I know. There we go. See, that one isn't sitting quite right, so I'm just going to stitch. I'm just going to stitch back and reinforce that line. So let me go here. Let me go here. And let me go there. And I'll just stitch it down. It's a good day then to just rest, right? All right, bam, look at that. I just need one little something for the top of that. I've been using these roses, these aluminum roses. That's kind of decadent, even in the pink, right? I kind of love it. I'm going to go with the pink. I think that's what's sitting here. I don't know where the rest of these roses went, but since that's the bead that presented itself, that's the one I'm going to go for. Maybe it's because I'm thinking about the new photos from the Gilded Age. Have you folks watched the Gilded Age on HBO? The 3rd season is coming. It's that Julian Fellows. It's his new one. You know, about the literal Gilded Age in the 1880s. And it's totally escapist. But I kind of love it. And the clothes and Carrie Coon is in it, who I love, and a bunch of really great people. Look at that. Yes, yes, girl, yes. I'm going to put another bugle bead on the side. Since this is blue, the background is blue, I'm not worried about maybe seeing a little bit of that color back there, to be honest. Let me stitch it right there. Right, and this wants to wiggle around a little bit, so I'm going to stitch it down again. If it feels like it's moving, just reinforce it. Okay. Now there's a little bit of a space right here. I feel like it would benefit from another one of these drops. So that's what I'm going to put right there. And it does. Look at that. I'm going to stitch through that drop one more time. And then I'm going to go to the other side. Oh, you know, I've got a little bit of space right there. Let me fill it. And then this quadrant, I think, will be finished. What looks good? Maybe I'll do 2 more of these blue ones just because the background, it'll kind of fade in there. Yeah, good. All right, so now I have to replicate what I did over here. So what did I do? I did a bugle. So let me do that. Okay. And just, you know what? Give yourself permission. I had no clue what was going to happen with this cab, right? Earlier, right? No idea. So just start, right? Yeah, it's time for a fresh thread. Let me tie this off and I'll get a new thread. And these are so tiny, right? They're such little pieces of frivolity that we're not, we're not investing hours and hours into this piece. There we go. I'm going to come in and I'm going to come in the back and I'm going to knot this off and then we'll start a new thread. I'm just using gray. KO. Feels like that's right for me. Okay. And now this. It's going to go this way. Yeah, it's very frivolous. It's very like Rue de la Paix, very 1885 tiny hat, right? I don't know. It's evoking kind of all of those things for me, which I'm okay with. Okay. Let me just... Let me see. Needle the thread. Think about what Emily says. Put the eye of the needle on the thread. There you go. Now I'm going to do this. Oh, my mom wants me to talk about The Residence. So have any of you watched The Residence on Netflix? It's a murder mystery. I love mysteries. I love like Agatha Christie mysteries. I read all of the Agatha Christies when I was little. My mom had we both love Agatha Christie's. And so I don't know. I was reading Agatha Christie's when I was probably 8 or 9, right? With those old covers. You remember the old Agatha Christie covers? Anyway, The Residence is so good. It stars, I'm going to have to look it up. It's a mystery. A murder mystery takes place in the White House, and it's present day. I mean, present day. The Residence actress. I'm Googling this right now. Yes, Uzu Aduba. She is, I know I'm probably just getting her name all wrong, but she plays Cordelia Cup. She was in Orange is the New Black. Uzo Aduba. She is incredible as Cordelia Cup, the detective. She's so good, and she's also a birder, right? And that kind of plays into it. It's totally escapist. It's like 8 episodes. I'm going to definitely watch it again. It's so good. And it has some really good like cameos from people in it and stuff. So if you're looking for something that's kind of a jaunt, it's so good, and the pacing is good. It's also a Shondaland produced for Netflix. So I really love what they do, because they do Bridgerton and stuff like that as well. So yeah, anyway, that gets a big thumbs up from me. Okay, so now we just need to move down here to these sides, right? Let's see, how am I doing on sides? Yeah, we divvied it out in small bursts. We could only watch one a night. I wanted to binge it real bad, but it's just so good. I hope Cordelia Cup comes back for another season of something. She's just so good. I hope. I don't know if it would be what awards apply to Netflix, if it's a movie or if it's an Emmy. But gosh, she's so good. Let me put 3 more of kind of these dark ones there. I'll go and do the same on this side. I'm going to reinforce these. So good. We also are watching We just started it, Your Friends and Neighbors, with John Hamm, his new one on Apple TV. Gosh, I love John Hamm. It's good. We just watched the first episode, so far so good. Let me come in here. I'm going to come down from this bugle and see, you can kind of come back in and reinforce and come back in and reinforce, right? The Residence is on Netflix right now. Oh, this is such a good idea, Clarissa. You could, so our friend Cynthia just released her paper dolls as a download. You could totally bead embroider some things for Cynthia's paper dolls. If you're not familiar with the Green Girl paper dolls, they are magical. Cynthia has been selling them for years, and people have been wanting them on download for forever. So they just figured out how to sell them for download. And they are so good. So if you haven't checked them out yet, check them out. And you could make little like paper doll clothes for them, right? And fabric clothes. So here we go. We're getting this and we'll come down. How you doing there, love? Pardon me. Chris is going to do some gardening, I think. Working outside. It's a beautiful day. I think it's time for some rhinestones on the side. Rhinestones also take up a lot of real estate, so that's a good thing. Kind of helps me stitch along a little bit faster. So let's see here. Someone's squawking at you out there, huh?
Yeah.
I think it's the mockingbird still this morning. So let's stitch that one in. Let's go over here. If I do it to one side, I'm going to do it on the other side. So it's sort of symmetrical, mostly symmetrical. Here's another one of those rhinestones. Janice, we've got to get on that when we can. I think doing some color mixes, though, of the rhinestones are the way to go, right? Don't you think? There we go. So I think that side is done. Now I just need to fill in down here. I think I'm going to jump to the bottom. You could print those dolls on fabric. You know, there's this thing when my mom and I were doing quilts, sometimes with quilt tags. We also did like this family quilt for our friends who have a cabin in Montera. We did that family quilt and we transferred family photos onto muslin and then utilized those in the quilt squares. It was really cool. We did that. That was kind of a fun group project. It was a lot of fun. You could do that same thing with the dolls, I think. That would look great. Print them out on fabric. My mom and I used to, this was way back in the day, we used to belong to this doll, like soft doll guild, I guess it was. Like in the mid-90s, doll making really had a heyday. And it wasn't like porcelain dolls. These were like art dolls. And in the Palo Alto bead shop, there was this woman, and I'm trying to remember, her name is escaping me, but I have one of her dolls. And there's a thing in the Bay Area, it was called Doll University, and it happened every other year. And we would go. And this was literally like 94, 95, right? And I have a doll pattern. I had a doll pattern out on the market. Actually, someone in my Fiber Arts Guild saw an ad for it in one of the magazines. I'll have to show it to you. The magazine was from like 95. And she came up to me and she goes, "Is this you?" And I went, "Yeah, that's me. All right." So it was kind of funny. But what was my point? My point was that Doll U was really fun. And some of the cloth dolls that people made were just incredible. And I made a bunch. My mom made a bunch. Gosh, I'm trying to remember that woman's name. She did like this technique. It was kind of like this German needle sculpting technique. And she did all of like these goddess dolls. She did like a Pele doll. Janice, do you remember her at all? I still have one of her dolls that I got from her. And I taught that doll class. I think at Bead Shop, I taught a doll class, my soft doll class workshop. I'll have to pull those dolls out sometime. That was really fun. There's a little, I'll stitch that down. One of my pieces of thread got kind of wrapped around. That's why this rose was sitting kind of funny, but I fixed it. Yeah, the ones, yes, nylon stockings. She used like this nylon, and she did kind of these really interesting, like African dolls and like the goddess Pele doll. And she would get her beads from our store. It was really cool. She lived in Palo Alto. That was fun. Those were super creative, fun times. Yeah, we do a lot of doll making adventures. It's almost done. But we would do, I mean, you'd think that bead shows were bizarre. Not bizarre, but, a niche, I guess is what I meant to say. Like a niche market. Doll makers, full on niche. It was fun, though. It was really interesting. Cloth dolls, kind of the same, like you kind of sculpt them, sort of, I mean, there's lots of different ways to make cloth dolls, but that one went from there. I think I need to needle over just a little bit, so I'm going to needle down over here, and I'm going to needle up right there. There we go. But yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. It was called Doll University, and it was in San Jose, I think. But I feel like we went to one in Palo Alto too, at the old, remember Janice, the old Ricky's Hyatt in Palo Alto? I don't know if any of you are, remember, any of you who are watching who was in Palo Alto and back in those days, but that was such a hilarious place, the Ricky's Hyatt, which is no longer there for sure. Let me move down here. Pardon me. Okay, so I just have this little spot to fill in, so let me do it, because I want to cut this. I want to put it in the bezel. Let's see. I need to see how this one's not quite right, so I need to come back in and make sure that's flattened down. I did a few more bugles there. I did one of those marguerite flowers there. I think I need to find another one of those marguerites. So let me needle down, because it also takes up a lot of real estate, which is good. Let me needle down and needle up like right here. Let me see if I have 2 more of those crystals left over from my mix. I need 2 more. They were in with the rhinestone mix. Everything is kind of jumbled together. Well, I don't really see those. So instead, I'm going to use these little check flats. That'll take up a lot of real estate. So let me bring that over. Whoops. I need to needle down from the front. I must have used all my little crystals. Let me get one of these check flats. I think what I'm going to do is, let me get an 11-aught so it kind of turns the corner nicely. You know, the thread does. There we go. Yeah, it had that good. Janice does remember a walk a few steps. Yeah, it wasn't far from the old store. And it did. It had that great bar. And it had, like, didn't it have, like, statues or something in, like, the back garden? I feel like there were a lot of, like, kind of weird Greek statuary or something back there. I don't know. Palo Alto, that whole area, that was such kind of a wild and wonderful place before it got kind of techified and homogenized a little bit. But, you know, it was good. So there we go. That's looking good, right? Those check flats from both of those sides right there. Let me lay this, let me get in there with my needle for this rhinestone to lay it out flat. Yeah, Ricky's and Ricky's Hyatt. Remember, yeah, Ricky's was the one. Didn't they have the black and white ball? Didn't we do something? It was there by the train tracks, maybe, right? If I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. That was a good spot. There we go. All right. So now I just need to fill in those 2 little spots, and then we're going to put it in the bezel. Shall we? Yes, Ricky's Hyatt. Yeah, had the gardens. That's right. Yep. It did. It had the gardens in the back. It was so groovy. So groovy there. Yeah. So good. We did a lot of fun things with the store for sure. Pardon me. I think I'm just going to put one more of those little flats, those check glass ones right there. Another 11-aught. Needle down. Yep. So if I did it on that side, I need to go do it on that side. I'm just going to tack it down on this side one more time. So what I would do, folks, for if you want to do something like this, right? We still have the mixes. We still have some Gatsby mix. We still have a few of the mixes left over from the Great Bead Extravaganza from last weekend. I'm going to move these down kind of like that so I can get my other bit there. You can grab, these are the bezels that I'm using, are the bezels from None that we have in stock. And I would suggest, don't think too hard about the project, right? Just think about the kind of the overall colors and look of the piece, right? Like I just kind of used all these little colors. See how I kind of shoved those over there? This definitely is not symmetrical, right? It is true, Janice. You started selling beads at your mom's antique store in 1960. I love it. I love it. Yeah, we've got a nice little, you did a great write-up, a tribute to Lydia. It's coming out in the newsletter on her birthday on the 22nd of April. So stay tuned to your newsletters. It's a really great picture that Janice added and stuff too. That'll be in the newsletter on the 22nd. Let me just pin this one down, this one down. So just keep going through them until they sit kind of like you want them to, right? And I think that's the last stitch. This one isn't quite sitting the way I like it, so I'm going to stitch it. I'm going to go over here, bring my needle up, and stitch this down one more time. I'm just checking to make sure that everything that I've stitched in is stitching in correctly. Not correctly. Strongly, sturdily, tightly, right? That's a little funny right there, so I'm going to come over here. And I don't mind that I'm taking long stitches on the back, to be honest, because it's all going to be glued down. I'm going to come in and I'm going to connect these right there to maybe make a little better of a curve. And now needle down like right there. Okay. I think that's it. I think that was the last stitch. Everything feels okay. This just has one thread holding that 11-aught bead on, so I think I'm going to go down and through it one more time. That little 11-aught is what's anchoring that crystal on. Other than that, I think we're good. Let me do this side. Here. Come on, go in there. And here. And here. And that one. All right. Clear crystal rhinestones. Sure. You know, we'll get, rhinestones are kind of hard to find, right? You see a lot of like the plastic rhinestones and stuff out on the market. So these are all the check glass. So we'll get them. Okay. I think that's it. So let me turn it around and let me tie this off. Good question from Sharon. Sharon's asking, can I put diamond glaze on this? I could, but I don't think there's a reason to. I don't think this needs to be sealed, to be honest. I don't want to like cloud anything up or anything either. So I'm just going to kind of leave it as is. Cindy's asking about rhinestone cup chain, which I also love. Cup chain is like these little sew-ons, except it's in a chain that's all linked together, and they look great sewn down too, right? So we need to, right? And so, yeah, so my mom's observing. She's saying it came out completely different because I didn't have enough to circle the cab, right? That's true. If I had had enough thread or enough of those beads to circle the cabochon in, it wouldn't have really finished, right? So let me zoom in, zoom out, zoom in. There we go. So Sharon says, I've broken beads and thread. That's why she's asking. Yeah, if you don't know your own strength, you know. So you definitely could diamond glaze over the top of this, to be honest. I diamond glazed over those ones that are in the bezel. That's how those are all held in. And they're actually aging pretty well. Let me show you. They're here. So you could do a little tester. Those are all with diamond glaze. Okay. So let's go ahead and cut this out and see if it fits in the bezel. I hope it, I don't know. We'll see. I might have made it a little big, but you know, it's smushable. It's not really the word, but I bet I can get in it. Let's just see what happens. All right, let's just see. So I'm going to work around. I want to try not to cut any threads. Let me use my big scissors first. Yeah, I want to make sure I'm not, because I can always come back in later and trim, but I kind of want to keep an eye on both sides. But I don't want to break any threads. So I'm just going to keep trimming this out. Now I can do some trimming on this back end. I'm going to switch shears now. You know what I should have done? If I do this again, I'm going to trace it on the front and maybe on the back. I don't know how I'd lined those up though, so maybe not. Right, so I'm getting in there. Keep trimming. Because this felt has some definite thickness to it. So that's also going to take up some room. Try not to get those threads. If I do, I'll just stitch it back on, but okay, let's see. Everything still looks like it's on there. So here's this cabochon from the front. Clip a little bit there. A little bit there. Okay. Let me zoom out. Okay, let's see what happens. Is it going to fit? Yeah, so see what happens here. Let me show you how dimensional this is. Look how high that's sitting. I think it's going to work, no problem. I think what it wants, though, is, and next time I do this, because there'll definitely be a next time, I probably have, like, I probably could have just gone like, right, like this much, right? Because it kind of overflows a little bit. What I want, what it needs is a little bit of backing to like hold it up. So I could use batting. I could use, but I'm going to cut a little circle of felt. That's a little too high, or a little too close to the edge. I just need something in the very middle to kind of support it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's going to work. Okay, so now I'm going to glue this in. Look at how cool that is. Okay, so let me start by, and see how this kind of like fills the spot in the back. So I'm going to glue down that piece of felt in the middle. Like that. Now, I'm going to get my stick. I'm going to put a little bit of glue in the very center. I need to, whoops, not put my thumb in that glue. I need to get rid of just a little bit more. I wish I had cut this before I put that glob of E6000, but that's all right. Right? I need a little bit of that extra gone. But now that I've done one, and now you've seen me do one, you can see what like the overhang, right? How you need to reduce that just a little bit. And up here, just a little. Okay. All right, where's my glue? Okay. Let me get that glue up there. This glue, I want it all around the edges because I don't want it to smush out beyond the pendant, right? So there we go. Just like that. All right, here it comes. That's the top. Let's get this centered if we can. I'm going to take a drink of coffee. Okay, all the flowers in bloom. Sorry, it's making me clear my throat a bit. So there's that. That goes in. And then this just kind of smushes in. Then I need my tweezers or my awl to kind of push that backing in and behind the bezel. Make sure it's in at the top. And see, it kind of hangs over, but that's okay. Oh my gosh, look at it. right? There's the back. Look, here's the sides. So where those were stitched, you know, the felt is kind of laying down there, and these kind of are gently, some of them kind of coming over the side of that bezel. If you were going to diamond glaze this, this would be the time to do it. I think after it's in the bezel. Let's see. Let me put this lid on. Let's just really make sure that's pushed down. I'm going to try a little bit of it down here at the bottom. Why not? Right? I mean, who cares? Just do a little bit of it and let's see what happens. Need to get my pin in there to kind of open up the lid of the diamond glaze. If I can. Okay. Let's just come in. I want to extrude a little bit. The diamond glaze is kind of self-leveling. So see how I just dropped it in there? And it's going to sink down. I'm going to drop it in there. Let it sink down. Don't screw with it too much. Let gravity do its thing. And I'm going to do one over here. Right? I mean, why not? Right? So here, see, it's going down in there. Good call. Whoever asked that question, good call. I'm just going to do a little bit down here where it feels like I'm going to leave it flat, leave it flat. Drop it in. The only thing about this diamond glaze is it does get a little, just keep a pin handy so you can unstopper it. Oh, let me open this back up. Sharon, great question. Yeah. I mean, why not? That's what this is all about, just testing and experimenting, right? There we go. Try it out over here. Make sure so it doesn't all come out at one time. One more drop. Right there. Let it settle. One drop there. And again, I'm being symmetrical with the sides, right? One there. So if I'm putting diamond glaze in one place, I'm going and putting it on the other side, on the other place. Maybe right there. So I haven't opened the floodgates on it. Okay. Right? Oh, paperclip. That's smart. Yeah, something like that. I'm going to add one more right here. I'm avoiding getting the diamond glaze on the stone because I want the stone to kind of remain kind of the way it is, but one right under that. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Now, I'm going to let this sit just 24 hours and try not to screw with it. Right? It's hard though, because you want to play around with it. I just put my hand in the diamond glaze that was on this baggie. Perfect. Okay. The diamond glaze. So this is a great question. So Andy, the diamond glaze, what it is it's an adhesive and it's dimensional. So you can build it up. It kind of will come in and kind of grab all of that, and it dries clear. And it's water soluble, water based. So it'll just kind of fill in, right? It'll stiffen it a little bit. It'll kind of give it some holding power. And the reason why I decided to go for it and use it is because if we look at the side view of this, though remember, I put a little piece of felt underneath it so it helped to stabilize this and raise it up, right? It'll also, like some of this beadwork, it's dimensional, it's sticking up. So it'll give it a little bit of support underneath it as well. And I think it'll also kind of sink into the felt and just help everything adhere. So we'll see how this looks. But I think it's good, right? It kind of seals everything in. And I didn't use a ton of it, right? So that one's been diamond glazed. This one that I did for Great Bead Extravaganza, that's only diamond glazed. Nothing is stitched. Right? And that's just all kind of random in there. So our embroidery adventure continues, my friends. Whew, that was kind of epic, wasn't it? We put all these out. I do want to mention, I like to mention them sometimes on Saturdays. We really, really appreciate all of you folks being here and supporting us and buying our products and all of that. People have asked in the past, so I did want to let you know that we do have a coffee account. It's a little space where you can go, and if you're so inclined to leave like a little tip or show your appreciation for all of the free education that we do on Bead Shop, we have our coffee link. It is by no means mandatory, but I know that a few of you, some of you have asked. Some of you have been very generous. Thank you so, so much for that. Our coffee link, I'll grab it. It's also in our up above on our YouTube channel, but I'll put it in there. I think that hashtag link, let me take that out. I just went and I got it from the page, but it's there. There we go. And I'll put it on the screen while I say goodbye because I think I've got it here somewhere. But we really appreciate you for supporting us in any way that you can through links, on sharing to your social links, your beaders who may love this bead content. Of course, your purchases, we so appreciate that as well. But getting the word out on social is always super important to us, right? So, so whatever means, things are tight right now. We totally get it, So sharing our content out on your socials, joining us over at the Bead Table on Facebook, our Facebook group, putting things up on Instagram and tagging beadshop.com so we can repost your makes, Going to our Pinterest pages and sharing out ideas from Pinterest always brings people back here to the mothership. Hitting that like, subscribe, and notification button over on YouTube, getting those views up. And of course, if you have any questions, my friends, at any time, just shoot us an email over at info@beadshop.com. Okay, this has been, whoops, let me leave that up and let me take this one down. It's been such a fun time with you folks. Oh my gosh, it's been a fun stitch in. I am off next week. Okay, but you have a project, a mix, some other things dropping. We have a color week next week. I've done a whole series of newsletters for you. So it's like I'm not even gone. But I'm going to be refilling my creative well next week, sewing with some of my sewing sisters. We're going to be making some cool clothes. So you can find me, if you want to follow along with my adventures, you can find me over at Bead Kate over on Insta. I'll be posting some things over there. I'll be back with you. My hair is all, it's all a mess. I need that clip in my hair. I'll be back with Janice. I think it's on the 30th. We'll have Janice's 5-stitch project coming up. So we've got a lot of fun things coming. So even though I won't be physically here in the studio, Chris is here, Miranda's here, Janice is just on the other side of the thing, I'll still be reachable by email. I'm not leaving my computer behind. So Janice will be in on YouTube as usual on Wednesday and Friday. I have the shows pre-recorded, so don't worry. I'll be running out, but I'll still be here with you. So thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate you folks 100%. Have a really restful Saturday. Happy Passover, happy Easter, happy spring, however you celebrate, from wherever you're celebrating to whomever you celebrate with. We totally appreciate you, right? So I'll see ya. I'll see ya. Take care. Be creative. Love you lots. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.